Well, we've had a week to stare at this Super Bowl with the Chiefs and the Niners. And when we did guess the lines last week, I think I guessed 1.5. It bounced around. It was 1.5, 2. Now it's 2.5 as we tape this on a Sunday night. Where does it go? Where does it land? Where does it end?
Well, you're going to give me the title because you changed your guess to Tic Tac 1.5 and I had 2. So now it's 2.5. Yeah, I don't think I don't think it'll go to 3, but just from casual people you talk to, you've been on the road for a week now. Everyone's asking who you're picking. And every bonehead is like, I don't know, I'm taking the Chiefs, right?
Yes.
And so is the money that sharp that it could turn to Niners -3? And is that even the right side anyway? I don't know. I think it's getting too rich.
And we even did this. I'm guilty of it. The podcast we did last Sunday night. Never betting against Mahomes again. The more I thought about that game over the next 2 days as I'm flying around and walking around trying to get my steps in and just thinking about how did I go wrong? How did I get both games wrong? Because I really liked my picks. And I'm looking at it and I'm like, the Chiefs didn't score in the second half.
Right.
They scored 17 points. Like, Baltimore was the right pick. They fucking sucked. They stunk. Even if you go the Zay Flowers reach over and the throw in a triple coverage, you just change the outcome of those 2 plays and maybe they win. But you know, I don't feel like the Ravens were the wrong pick. But what I will say, what I have thought about over and over again, I'm not the first person to make this point. It does feel like Mahomes is at this level now where he psychs the other team out or he psychs the other QB out, or there's some sort of, especially when he gets a lead and the other team just completely panics and changes their identity. The podcast we did a week ago, we were like, what happened to the Ravens? Why'd they panic? What happened to Lamar? Why didn't they run the ball? And it's like, there's something about him, and Brady, I think, had this too, where you're just like, and you get discombobulated. And I'm sure they must be watching that tape now and they must be like punching themselves in the face.
Yeah. Yeah. I think there is an element of a grown up playing, one-on-one basketball with his 6-year-old son. Like, all right, I'll let you shoot on me and I'll let you score or whatever. But when push comes to shove, I'm going to hit Valdez-Scantling on a play that's going to be everyone else's best play of the year. But it's just like Mahomes' 50th best. So it's tough. I think we're probably waiting on giving our picks, right? We're going to give a whole bunch of props today. But one way I'm looking at it is, which units surprised you the most from these two teams? I can't believe how good the Chiefs defense is. I think they've allowed 3 points in the fourth quarter for all 3 playoff games combined. And I can't believe how weak the Niners defense is. So those are my 2 surprises. That's kind of how I'm going to start to analyze it, I think, from there.
Yeah, was Hufanga this good that their whole defense collapsed? I was looking, I'm leaning toward the Chiefs, and it might change by the time we get to Thursday, but I was looking at the San Francisco defensive stats just for Detroit, Green Bay, and the Baltimore game near the end of the year. You know, Detroit had 28 first downs, 442 yards. They ran 29 for 182.
Yeah. And
they blew a couple fourth downs. They had a fumble in their own territory. You know, they moved the ball the whole game. And that was one of the worst losses we've seen in a while, where your coach screwed stuff up. Your players made bad plays at the dumbest times. You lost an interception that hit somebody in the helmet, bounced in the air for a 50-yarder. Right. Green Bay the week before, 330, 20 first downs. They ran for 28 for 136. And then Baltimore, that near the end of the season, 343, 23 first downs. They ran 26 for 102. And the Chiefs feel like they're in the proximity of those offenses. Maybe they're not as explosive as Detroit, but they're not going to be like worse than those offenses, right?
And what they're not going to do is they're not going to abandon what's working, right? So you said there's Aaron Jones was running all over, right? 49ers, as was the Montgomery Gibbs combo, was giving them a fit. They look faster than the Niners defense. You know, I think Andy Reid, and plus the whole thing when he has 2 weeks to prepare, all that stuff, throw that aside. But yeah, I don't think they're going to screw that part of it up.
Joe House, I don't know. Do you know him? He's does
familiar
some
with
stuff.
Yeah, good eater in his day. Yeah.
He put his foot in the sand of San Francisco would not be the 4th best team in the AFC.
Wow.
Was one of his takes on East Coast Bias on Thursday, which San Francisco's pretty explosive at least. So you got to give it to their offense. But I keep playing this game out of my head. You saw what Kansas City did last week, where that first hour, we talked about it last week on the pod. They just threw the kitchen sink at San Francisco. And, Pacheco had 14 carries. Kelce had 9 catches. Rice had 6 catches. Like they ran all their best plays for like an hour and 10 minutes, and then they kind of held on. On the flip side, Purdy really takes a while to get going. I was looking at some of his splits and stuff, and you can see it. Like if it goes first quarter, second quarter, third quarter, fourth quarter, he gets better as the game goes along. He by the fourth quarter, he's 12.2 yards per pass. The first quarter, he's like 8, and it takes him a while. And one of the things I was thinking about was the Super Bowl, which we always talk about how disjointed it is. And you have the pregame's forever, and it's hard to get it on the field. You're on the field, and it's just everything feels so long. Then you have the first half, and then you have this 40-minute halftime, and then you go again. I think it's a real disadvantage for a first-time quarterback. So the combo of KC starting fast and then Purdy starting slow, that I keep thinking about that in my head, right?
Yeah, it's not even starting. I mean, definitely starting slow, but he plays a different game, doesn't he? Like in the first half or first quarter and a half, he will let the pocket crumble around him. Like he doesn't take off. He had like 3 15-yard plus runs. They were all in the second half. Like, what are you doing? Why are you letting this? Why aren't you stepping up in the pocket? He did that against Green Bay. He did that against Detroit. It's going to be tough if he does that against Kansas City. I feel like he'll go down a lot if that's, and combined with the butterflies and everything else for a first-time quarterback.
So I'm going to throw narratives at you. The game is over on Sunday. You're stuffed because you ate too much. You're probably mad because you probably lost more than you won on all your collective bets. You're a little groggy.
Probably had $11,000 on the Chiefs who covered and won, and then I lost $16,000 in props. Yeah,
right.
That's probably okay.
And now you're thinking about us doing the pod that night. Yeah. What's the lead of the pod? Let's talk about the possibilities. The one would be if it was an incredible game and we start, oh my God, that game, we'd do that thing. The second, I think, would be Mahomes. All right, this is 3 now. This is, this is now officially on, and all that. We go that route. Then there's a Brock Purdy going that way, where it's like Brock Purdy, unbelievable, Mr. Irrelevant. How did he do this? Nobody thought all the money was on the Chiefs. The line dropped to 1. What other narratives could you see leading the podcast a week from now?
You're saying positive, right? Because this would be a great win for us. Yeah, because I have to say one of my New Year's resolutions was to try to analyze these games from a positive perspective. And it's not easy to do, right? You want to go after how did the Lions blow that? Dan Campbell sucks. That's your first thing. But I think those are all good. Shanahan got the monkey off his back. That'll be a big thing, right?
What if there was a Kelce MVP? Taylor Swift, Grammys tonight, announced her new album. I think it's called Dead Poets Society. I didn't get the title.
Sounds right.
Whatever it was. But Kelce wins the MVP. Mm-hmm. He kisses Taylor Swift.
Yeah.
Oh my God, we're going to Disney World, and everybody, half of the nation just gets completely pissed off, and we're like close to a civil war after that.
They go into the blue tent. They head into the blue tent. A camera opens it up, catches them nude.
We have to reproduce. We have to create the most special baby America has ever had.
Super baby. Yeah. I think that'll probably, honestly, no matter what, that's going to be it, right? Taylor was good for this team, or the league fixed it so that the Chiefs won, or screw you, conspiracy theorists. The Niners won by 10. So what are you talking about, right? I think we have to lead that.
I'm glad we talked this out, because you're right. Either way, it's Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce. Somehow it becomes the lead. Maybe not on our podcast, but just in general. Okay. We're going to do some props. This is your favorite, I would say, I don't know, how many days have you been immersed in props now at this point? Like 3 or 4?
It's a lot. And there's only been a few instances where there's been 1 week between the championship games and the Super Bowl, but I almost think like it's almost too long to study for a final exam. I mean, they did a great job, FanDuel, with these, and they're like, no, there's more to come early, middle of the week. I was like, it's like when you come home from college and your mother makes like corn fritters and then coconut shrimp. It's like, stop, it's too much. It's too much fried food. I need to slow down.
I found almost everything I wanted to find. They don't have some of the cross sports stuff yet.
Right. Yeah.
Because it's too hard with the NBA to even know who's playing. But let's go. Let's just throw some favorite props out. You go first.
All right. I'm going to throw a couple. Well, first of all, let's start at the beginning. Tails. 30 tails, 27 heads in the 57 Super Bowls.
Oh.
It won last year, tails, right? Remember Sirianni was sobbing, or maybe that was the anthem. I'm not sure. Coin toss or the anthem. But Simmons, you and I established last week that we believe in momentum, and that's how Purdy was able to come back against the Lions. I believe in the momentum of tails. I'm going tails minus 104. Why is minus
tails?
104? No idea.
Minus 104. They just get a 4% vig either way.
That's right. That's right.
Okay.
You want to go? We want alternate?
Well, can we go a little earlier than the coin toss?
Oh yeah, sure.
So Reba McEntire, right now it's 86 seconds, and that might go up. And there's some juice on that. It's minus 145, minus 150 range, which seems super fast because we've had over-unders that have gone over 2 minutes. One year we had our buddy PR Maven Lewis K was in the stadium and tipped us off, and then was like, "Don't talk about this on the podcast. I might get in trouble." And then we immediately did. What was it? Do you remember what anthem that was?
I don't know. I think he was right. I think
he was right. He gave us a winner. So
they try to lock these down, but what you're saying, a minute 26?
Yeah,
a minute 26. So
here's the last six.
I'm looking.
Stapleton 205. That went under. Mickey Guyton 135 went over. Jasmine Sullivan, Eric Church 159 over. Demi Lovato 155 under. Gladys Knight 147 over. And then Pink was 2 minutes under. So this is the shortest over under we've had in a while. And I like the over, Sal.
You could go back even more. No one's hit 126. I'm looking at the list of in 30 years and 20 years. 140. Billy Joel, Carrie Underwood, Kelly Clarkson 2012 was 134. That was the shortest. Wow.
So you think Reba? I mean, she could probably put some action on herself. Have we had a national anthem betting scandal yet?
No,
it's the easiest thing to rig.
Yeah, I don't know. We got to find out what her plans are afterwards. Why she's trying to get the hell out of there so
quickly. Could she parlay herself with like an adjusted 118 adjusted, and she's just like, "Oh, say, can you see?" She's just like flying through it.
She's skipped 6 lines. All right.
And speaking of a music thing, Usher, one of the props was him playing "Yeah" as plus 200 as the favorite for opening song. Just coming out with that one. I like the plus odds.
You like for that one? Yeah. Okay.
Because he comes out as like, yeah. Everybody's like, yeah. Like dancers, things coming around. I like it.
You can't disagree with yeah. I mean, the opposite is no.
It's a yeah kind of mood.
There's one 14-1 odds. Jim Nance mistakes Usher for John Legend and is immediately canceled. So that, I don't know. Does FanDuel have that? I'm not sure.
That's not John Legend, Jim. That's Usher.
Jim, you might want to take that back, Jim.
Jim, you rushed to judgment there, Jim. All right, what do you got? You're up.
All right, I'm going to give you one, though. These odds aren't that great. I'm going to give you 2 or 3, but they hit, for crying out loud. Any player to score 2 or more touchdowns, minus 165. Again, I'm not doing you any favors with the VIG, but last year, Hurts had 3. Higgins and Kupp both had 2 the year before. Gronk the year before that had 2. Damian Williams had 2 for the Chiefs the last time they beat the Niners. Gronk again versus the Eagles. James White, 2 or more. I mean, 2 or more touchdowns by a player in 6 of the last 7. And between Kelce and CMC and Samuel, Kittle, and Ayuk, that's a lot of nice options. I just feel like quarterbacks don't want to rock the boat if something's working in this game where there's a bundle of nerves surrounding the participants. So I like that.
That's a really good one, cuz I like it. All right, I'm going to go big on this one. With a big player here.
Okay.
Mahomes under 262.5 pass yards.
Ooh.
His last 5 weeks, 242, 215, 262, 245, 235. Since week 9, 3 of 12 games over 262. And I also think they've changed how they played. Like, I really think they want long drives, shorter games, move down the field. I think that Vegas game, when that game was so embarrassing and they had some sort of come to Jesus moment. And since then, they just want these 7-minute drives. They want to shorten the game. They just feel like they can win any 21-17, 20-17, 24-20, like just anything in that range. And I don't see him airing it out. What's the best case scenario for Kelce? Probably what it did last week. It's like 11 catches for 100. Rice had a really good game too, and he still didn't get there. So the only thing that worries me is McKinnon's back, which is a better, third down pass guy for him. And you could always get the one long pass that would F this up, but I just don't see him chucking around. I think they're going to have long drives.
I love this. Every year his air yards go down and down and down, and it doesn't mean he's worse. I love this. I'm going to put 2 stars by this because I think people will bet this over. Just be like, oh, Mahomes, I want to bet over. I want to bet Mahomes this and Mahomes that. But I think it comes in under. You're right. They play a different game, and you're really going to have to take them out of their game plan to hit 263 or more. I think they'd have to be losing by 10 or more. I just don't see that in the second quarter. Otherwise, you're right. Just short stuff over the middle. Screenplays, Mahomes doing what he's doing.
Or the game goes to overtime and you get screwed that way. I went to the Knicks-Lakers game with Dave Jacoby, who loves using FanDuel. And he's all excited. He's like, LeBron, 25 points over. I have that with the Lakers. And I'm like, I don't like it. Seems too easy.
Right.
Everyone here who's betting that, like, the instinct is to always go over. I'm with you. Mahomes, this is 262.5 now. It's probably like 265 by game time.
Yeah.
And at that point, they're going to have to be behind by 10, 14 points for him to hit that. So
yeah, they're not game planning for a 280-yard game for him. I agree with that. All right. I'll give you one. Again, I'll be done with these bad odds in a second, but shortest touchdown, under 1.5 yards. I love this all year. But they only seem to have it up for like the Super Bowl. It's minus 175. It should be about minus 250. This is the Brother Bry special. It's at 4 straight. It's at 7 of the last 8. Same thinking here. CMC, everything down low for the Chiefs. Shovel pass or Pacheco. Pacheco himself has 5 1-yard touchdown runs this year. And, if you're a Chiefs, they're only going to win because of Taylor Swift conspiracist. You believe that there's going to be a phantom pass interference call in the end zone, which automatically puts the ball at the 1. I think this should be like 250. It's 175.
So I really like that one. The only thing that worries me, Mahomes just doesn't score touchdowns anymore.
Right.
I don't think he has a touchdown this year. Is that possible? I think he has 0 touchdowns because they're never going to have him do tush push, any of that stuff because he got hurt during that play. They basically retired that play. I'm looking this up as we talking. Yeah, 0 touchdowns this year for him. And then Purdy isn't exactly a tush pusher either. So you're looking at Pacheco or McCaffrey. But the good news with this is any pass interference in the end zone, the ball gets put on the 1. And we've seen Pacheco and McCaffrey can go in.
How do you say it? People saying I say Pacheco wrong. You say Pacheco?
Oh, that's Pacheco.
Yeah, you say it right. I'm being told I say it wrong. What do I say? Wait, Pacheco. I think
Pacheco?
I say A, like A-Y. Yeah, Pacheco.
You're making him sound like Sicilian.
Checo? Checo. Okay. Pacheco. What do you got?
Speaking of quarterbacks and running stuff, Brock Purdy, over 3.5 rushing attempts, plus 124 on FanDuel. And maybe people have bet that since we're talking about this. In the playoffs, he had 5 carries, he had 6 carries. During the season, in the Cincy game, he had 6, Tampa he had 4, Minnesota he had 5. In general, against a good defense where they're pushing the pocket, and he had that was one of the keys to that Lions game was his ability to move around. I think he's going to be able to do this against the Chiefs. We've seen quarterbacks with their legs beat them for first downs, and I just think he's going to run the ball 4 times. So I was surprised that was plus 124. I would have thought that would have been like minus 150.
I'm going to put 2 stars by it, and I'll make you feel slightly better.
Thanks,
I think this is a nice hedge if you like the Chiefs because a kneel down counts as a carry. So if he takes 3 knees, you're half away right there.
You know what I forgot when I was researching this? That Mahomes, he had hit the over in the rushing.
Oh,
and then they were running the clock out at the end, and he lost 16 yards on 3 carries trying to run out the clock. It was one of the great prop losses.
Our friend Nick Santora had that and was devastated. I watched the game with him, and he lost on that because of that. And he fled the state. He has not come back, actually. Moved to Pennsylvania.
He was supposed to make his 7th action show for Netflix, and
that's right.
That's it.
He's like, no, I can't do it.
Jason Statham's like, wait, I thought we were shooting on Monday. What do you have for your next one?
All right, how about this? First touchdown jersey. I love these. I just love it all. First touchdown jersey number over 19.5. So Debo's the cutoff. I like over. You get Kelce, you get McCaffrey, you get Kittle, you get Rice, you get most of the receivers. Over 19.5. You go under, you get the quarterbacks, you get Ayuk, and you get Debo. Did I miss somebody? And Pacheco, however you say it.
You like these bets where I actually have to do work to follow what's happening with the bet. Like I've watched huge football games with you. You can barely concentrate on anything once the game's going. So you're going to be you're being calculating this as it's happening.
I'm thinking of bringing my son Jack's math tutor in with me to watch the games Super Bowl Sunday because I just have too much, or an accountant or something.
All right, Sal, this is it. My favorite prop. You're going to do Gary Russell later. I'm doing mine now.
Okay.
This might be a little bit on Gary Russell's corner, and if it is, I apologize. That wasn't my intention. I just really like this bet. First TD of the game.
Mm-hmm. Oh, no.
Noah Gray.
Okay.
43-1. He caught 2 short touchdowns in 2023. He had 28 catches for 305 for the year. He's 16 first down catches. And in general, when the Chiefs get close to again, Mahomes isn't going to run because they just don't. That plays out. Mahomes doing anything, running into the line, push, anything. And then it's like, well, he'll throw it to Kelce then. Now, the Noah Gray, it's like the Super Bowl is like when they love to have the cute play where it's like, oh, you thought I was going to do this. We did this instead. And all of a sudden, Noah Gray gets the first TD and everybody's like, who the fuck is that?
Right.
43-1, Sal.
That's a large number, and it's the perfect name to piss everybody off. It's like,
oh man, just complete, hostility immediately.
Fandle rakes in the Ayuk and Kittle, Kelce. Yeah. Thank you. I'm good. Yeah. All right. I don't hate that. That's too high. 43-1. That's too high. I have. Let's see. Okay. All right, let's do Gatorade. Why not? Yellow, lime, green, plus 380. Purple is favored at plus 225. Yellow, green is 3-1. I'm getting it at 3-1. Everyone bet big on purple last time these teams played because of Kobe. In 57, it was purple. There were 2 blues before that. Yellow hit with Doug Peterson and the Eagles. I think yellow is due. Also, if drunk Jason Kelce urinates in the bucket, you automatically get the win for yellow. So that's what I'm going with.
So what would be the Vegas ties to the color?
Oh, right. Why didn't I even think of that? Yeah.
I don't know. I don't even know what you would associate from a color standpoint with Vegas.
The bowl, that logo that was supposed to trip everyone up for Ravens Niners was purple a little bit, right? Purple and red.
Yeah.
So there you go. I don't know. I'm just saying green right there.
I love that you bet on. Do we have, so for my next one, I couldn't find this yet, and maybe it's not out, but is there a Jake Moody will miss a field goal prop?
I didn't see that either. I was looking for that. There will be. That will be.
I'd like to go blind. Just blind. I don't know the odds yet. Blind on a parlay of Jake Moody misses a field goal, and it's probably a little longer, but it goes over the upright, and it seems like he missed it, but we're not positive.
Ooh.
Parlayed with Adam Carolla, been babbling about how the upright should be taller for the next 25 minutes to a bunch of people who have to move to different sections to get away from him, even though he's probably hosting the party. So I have the parlay. Well, I can't calculate those odds yet, but I think that Jake Moody misses Carolla for 12, 13 minutes straight.
12, 13 podcasts straight. Carolla wouldn't be happy if the uprights went like through the moon, through the surface of the moon. He wouldn't be. It's not enough for him. I did find odds. I found odds for the miss. What do you think they are?
What is it? I'm going to say plus 120.
Oh, you're going to love this. Plus 210.
Oh my God. That guy, he's not ready. That's one of my favorite ones.
But you lose if there's no attempt. That's the only thing. So he has to actually has to miss.
I think that guy, that is one of the Achilles heels of the Niners team.
Right.
I don't trust. He's one of those when he comes out, I never think he's making it. So that would be a fun one. Plus 210.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
That's good. All right. I'm writing that down.
All right.
Rudy.
What do you got?
Plus 210. I also off of the Gatorade, color of Brock Purdy's mom's minivan when she picks him up after the game. Red 2-1, green 4-1, clear 9-1. I don't know why clear's even in there.
I didn't know they made clear minivans.
Isn't that strange? Why is it? Take me through this. Will the 2-minute warning come at exactly 2 minutes? The no is plus 310.
So that would be they're running a play that goes over the 2 minute and the clock stops at 158, 157.
Yeah.
Versus counting the clock down in the 2 minute warning and then it just stops at 2 minutes. Right.
Okay. So here's the thing. It's one of those plays where 49ers have it like at their own 45 and they know they have no timeouts, but they know they could throw here because the clock's going to stop. Right. And so it's at 2:03 and they take it to 150. I don't know. I just thought that was too high for the no. I'm probably off anyway.
It does seem high.
Yeah.
So does that mean I'm up?
Yeah, go ahead. Yep.
All right. I rode an Amtrak Excella today from New York City to Boston. I had a great time. It was great to fly by Stanford and New Haven and New London and Providence, seeing the sights. Really brought me back to my my childhood. One of the things I did on this train ride was try to figure out the longest reception. And the instinct is to take like Ayuk. He's the favorite, and his big receptions this year were 42, 76, 51. And then he had a 51-yarder in the playoffs that bounced off a guy's face.
Yes.
You might say Rice. Rice has had a couple long ones over the years, over the months. But the one I settled on with great odds, and I love this for so many different reasons, is Valdez-Scantling. Longest reception of the game, plus 800.
Yeah.
Now, this year he's had 47, 36, 34, and then the playoffs he's had 32 and 32. We've also seen him drop a couple long-ass ones that he became like, the enemy of Chiefs fans.
Right.
If we're talking redemption stories and just like, think of all that. If a Chiefs win, what are some of the things that'll happen? And he's already made a couple big plays in the playoffs, but Valdez-Scantling with like a 60-yarder or a 65-yarder or a 50-yarder. I just like the odds. I think he has as good of a chance as Ayuk to bust one. And the Chiefs aren't giving up long. They didn't do it against Buffalo, and they didn't do it against Baltimore, except for that one Zay Flowers play.
Write it down.
So,
did he have the longest? Did he have the longest last game? His was 32, like you said. Oh no,
I think somebody on Baltimore beat him.
Yeah, Flowers at 54. How did that happen? Jeez, yeah, that's right.
I don't know.
Yeah, I think so. I think he's kind of like the guy who's like he's the wrestler that's hiding under the ring during the Royal Rumble. And then he comes out. He's like, wait a minute. I didn't know you were still in there. Much like he did against the Ravens. It was a long one, but it wasn't the longest. I like that. I think that's too high.
And they will throw to him. The script would have him catch one. One other one for this one that I thought was intriguing was McCaffrey was 18-1. His longest this year, 35, 33, and 41 during the season. Then he had a 28-yard in the playoffs. But I was thinking like some like 71-yard wheel route.
Right.
Where it's just and he's in space and all of a sudden he's just gone. Because he's busted some big plays, but usually they're runs.
What were those odds? What were those?
18-1. It just seemed like too high, right?
All right. There's too many bets. These can't all win, right? We should warn people
this is how we lose.
Aren't going to all win, right?
Yeah.
It's good to take some unders too. All right. Well, I'll throw it at you. Purdy interception for all the reasons you brought up at the top of the podcast, right? It's only minus 115. He's had 7 in the last 8 games. Somehow none versus the Packers a few weeks ago, even though he could have like 3 or 4. Nerves could easily set in, right? I also like Carl.
Wait, can you hold on that one?
Yeah, go ahead. What? No, but this is a similar thing to it. But
I had it down as well. He had 11 picks this season.
Right.
But I watched a lot of Niners this year. At least 7, 8 drop picks for him. Only 2 had more dropped picks this season of games
Right.
that I watch. So I'm with you. I think that there's another bet where it's just Chiefs get the first interception is -110. I don't know why we wouldn't bet
that's
that.
a good one. That's a good one too. I'm just going to add to that. These guys are linemen, but defensive linemen. Karlaftis, 100-1. Chris Jones, 70-1 to get an interception. They don't accumulate a lot of picks, but can't you see it batted up at the line of scrimmage, especially if he's going to let the pocket collapse like he did in the first half in the last two games. So,
or the screen pass where somebody jumps off.
Right. Yep. Exactly.
Yeah. All right. Here's another one I really like. The Chiefs will have the longest kick return is -160. And the reason for this one is Butker, the Chiefs kicker, is like pretty touchback reliant. He just boots in the end zone and you don't return it. Whereas Moody, especially if he loses his confidence, misses a field goal, doesn't hit one, I just think the Chiefs will have more chances to have kick returns. So that's -160. I don't love the odds, but I like the spot.
I like that a lot. I have something later to support that. I'll say this though. I know the odds suck for this, but FanDuel has it at -330. Other books have it at like -500. That the kickoff, the opening kickoff, is a touchback, or the player takes a knee. The Chiefs have 83%, to your point, touchbacks this year for Butker. The league average is 65. 2 Super Bowls in a row, there's been a touchback in the opening kick. All the Super Bowl touchbacks in the opening kick occurred in the Dome. I think this is the same story, but it's high. It's 330. Your way to do it is better, I think. Yeah.
I like it. You're up.
Okay. All right. These squares. Let's talk about these squares. You can go on FanDuel. This is perhaps the greatest invention since wireless, that you could bet the 7-3 or the 3-3. You don't have to be stuck with these pools with the 2-5 or whatever shit.
The 9-8.
Numbers.
Yeah.
The 9-8. You're done. Right. And not to mention, it's a pain, like collecting money. You and I have been to Super Bowl parties. You got these deadbeats. The anthem's about to end and you're freaking out because only 70 boxes are filled, and it ends up being me, you, Daniel, and Jimmy by every box left. So grab your 0-0s, grab your 3-0s. In this case, I like 7-3 for both sides. And this is cumulative. You get +550 and +600. And it goes throughout the game, throughout the, not just the first quarter, not just the game. You get every quarter at 7-3, both sides if you take them. One's 550 and one's 600.
That's a great one.
Just in general, I'm with squares are terrific. Yeah.
If you had told us 20 years ago that we would just be able to bet on our own personal squares on a website.
Yeah.
And that this would have been a thing that would have worked, or in an app. We didn't know what apps were in 2003, but great stuff.
Yeah.
KC to beat San Francisco in overtime is 18-1.
Ooh.
KC to win the first half and the game is +190. And FanDuel allows you to throw that in same game parlays and stuff. But my thing is, if KC's going to win the game, it's going to look like that Ravens game, and they're going to be putting all of the silverware into the sink in that first half, the way they did, and try to put Purdy on his heels, and basically the same premise of what they did to Lamar. Oh, you're going against Patrick Mahomes. Now you're down 7. And we have the ball to start the second half. You just know how it goes. But anyway, KC to win the first half in the game +190.
I think you're right. That's the more logical way to approach it. I feel like I owe this bet something because it's hit for me so many times. Niners first half KC game is 8-1. KC first half Niners game is 7-1. They did it last week, San Francisco. So it's been a crazy year. But I think your way, just that it keeps going. 17-1. This is interesting that the confetti that falls from Allegiant Stadium following a game is made from shredded call girl pamphlets. I didn't even think that was allowed, but you think they'd be on top of that. All right, now here's a good one. Kelce catches every target +950.
I saw that one. He almost did this last week, right?
He did it. He did do it last week. He was 11 for 11. He did it earlier in the year. He's done it twice this year in fewer than 19 games. So +950 is good. He might just be one of those things where he's just sure-handed, wide open, short routes. And God forbid, if he catches one pass and goes out with an injury, you win that way too.
That's pretty good. I looked at that hard. I kept thinking of Fred Warner, like getting his hand in on one of them though. Like he goes 8 for 8, and then Fred Warner, like, you're like, oh, Fred Warner, you killed us. No successful fourth down conversion in the game.
Oof.
Plus 300. Did some recon on this. I think as I was passing through New London, I think I was looking this stuff up. Kelce for the season, only 10 for 10. They've had 20 total. They've made 10. They're 50%, which is weird. That's basically like one a game. Like there's some teams that are like in the 50s. They're two out of 3 in the playoffs. San Francisco for the season, 13 total. They hit 7.
Yeah.
In the playoffs, they're 0 for 1. Both of these teams are really conservative, and I don't really fully understand it.
Yeah.
Because you would think like they're both have Kansas City has an explosive quarterback. The Niners have an explosive offense. I was really surprised by that. Anyway, plus 300, where it seems like that should be even odds.
I like that. And you're right. I think the parlay kid went over that, and against all odds, he was shocked at how few fourth down conversions the Niners had this year. The one thing I'll say is I think I like that bet better 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago, but they're explosive, the offense, but they have a kicker that's exploding too. His mind is exploding. So they might go for it on 4th and 3.
Just get aggressive.
Where they normally wouldn't. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, what do you got?
Just this is dumb, but exact points scored for Kansas City. 17 is 10-1. That hit 4 times this year. 27 is 12-1. That hit 3 times this year. It's another way of doing like squares and stuff. But we're playing craps here, right? We're just throwing a million things in the middle, bet the bet everything. But it kind of is the last game, so we got to do it.
All right, Sal, let's do MVP first. The odds that jumped out to me were Kelce at 17-1, and going to narratives and just what's the Hollywood ending here is Kelce winning the MVP and kissing Taylor Swift at the end of the game. He also, I don't think he's looked that good, especially in the second half of the season. But in the playoffs, there's been a little bit of a resurgence. Tremendous, and yeah. I thought he was lights out last week against Baltimore. So Kupp won the MVP, Julian Edelman won it, and Santonio Holmes won it. Those were the last 3 receivers / tight end. Kelce's really a receiver that have won in the last 15 years. But the 17-1, I was really surprised the odds were that high.
Well, we gave this out last week.
If Mahomes isn't going to win it, Kelce's going to win it. And if you think the Chiefs are going to win, it's either Mahomes or Kelce. So why is Kelce 17-1?
He was 23-1 last week when we liked it, and now I think we moved the line on people. I apologize for that, but
it still seems too high.
I'm with you. It's because all right. So I'm trying to think like if Mahomes has 4 touchdowns and Kelce has 2 of them, who do you think they give it to? I guess it depends which ones are important towards the game, right?
What if it's a 21-20, 21-17, 23-17 type game? Kelce has the only 2 touchdown catches. Kelce has 8 first down catches. He finishes 10 for 132. Nobody else in the Chiefs has more than, 40 yards receiving. And, maybe Mahomes throws a pick. There's a path.
Let me ask you this. The fact that Mahomes won the 2 times that they were Super Bowl champs, does that make you think, all right, there's a little fatigue. He doesn't have to be a 3-time winner.
Fatigue.
Or, I'm looking at his numbers. He had 182 yards passing last year and won it. He did have 3 touchdowns.
It's just like if he has a typical Mahomes game, it's going to be 250 yards.
Yeah.
2 touchdowns. Just this version of Mahomes we're watching now. And then he'll get 5 for 42 rushing yards, something like that. There's one more Kelce bet I really like.
Well, let me do the MVP real quick because I have it. I just
my bad.
Also, no, it's all right. Take the 17-1 for sure. That's a better number. But MVP other than quarterback is plus 200. That's any other position. The last 10, there's been 6 quarterbacks and 4 non-quarterbacks. So plus 200 is a decent number. If you look at the last decade, McCaffrey, Kelce could burst out. Defense, which has happened fairly recently. Who knows? So I like that number.
Well, speaking of Kelce, him to have the most receptions in the game is plus 170. And I was looking at it. I think I was past maybe the Rhode Island border at this point. Kelce had 8+ catches 4 times this season. Rice had 8+ 4 times. Kittle's had 8+ twice. Ayuk's only had it once. and McCaffrey and Debo 0 times, which made me think Rice is plus 220 for most receptions. Kelce's plus 170. You could almost bet both and just say, you bet 100 on either, on both of them. You either win 70, 120, or you lose 200 if George Kittle ends up having the most catches, right? So I think it's going to be Kelce or Rice. And the Kelce plus 170, I'm actually surprised that's not like even odds.
I think it's going to be even odds. I think it's going to get there. As we're talking this through, is Kelce going to be the most bet on non-quarterback in Super Bowl history? I feel like we just talked about 8 Kelce bets that all sound great.
Well, remember we had this 2 years ago with Cooper Kupp, and I think just about all of them hit.
It came through.
And they threw to him over and over and over again as the game went on. So,
right.
If you think the Chiefs are going to win, Kelce's going to have a good game. There's no other path.
But how many 13-year-olds are asking their dad to put $20 on Kelce to score first or Kelce to win MVP? I don't think we've ever, the 13-year-old girls, like how many, I don't think we've ever had that before. I say 65
you're probably
million.
right.
I might be wrong.
You don't think this was happening for Brandon LaFell 10 years ago in the Patriots? Well, you also have this segment of the country now that hates Kelce and Taylor Swift, and every time he gets a catch, screw that guy.
Exactly.
So he's definitely has the most eyeballs on him of any non-QB we've had in a long time.
Right.
I mean, no non-QB Patriot ever ascended to these kind of visibility fame heights. Randy Moss, I don't even know if he got there.
No. Jerry Wright, I mean, that was, so this is early. So we have to really consider just the last 15 years or so.
Last 25. It's like no Steeler, no Packer, no Cowboy.
No. What?
Oh,
you're right.
We haven't made the Super Bowl.
You're right. No, I don't. I mean, it's Manning. It wouldn't be a Steeler, like you said. Saints, Ravens, Seahawks. I don't even know. Terrell Davis. Yeah. I'm not sure who's close.
He's absolutely outrageously, ridiculously famous, and you can make a case he's more famous than Mahomes right now. The Taylor thing has. Anyway, we don't need to rehash it. All right, what do you want to do, Gary Russell, or do you want to do favorite same game parlays?
I have a couple others. I have 2-1 odds sometime this week. Dan Campbell spotted at a blackjack table splitting tens. I could see that. I think that's probably good money there.
Splitting tens against an ace.
Yeah. 25-1 following the game. Brock Purdy holds up the Lombardi Trophy and screams into the camera, "Can you smell what the Brock is cooking?" That would be interesting. That's all I got. It's a little nonsense. I wish there was a way to bet on the CBS when they do the thing like Brock Purdy's journey for Mr. Irrelevant, and they spend 3 days making that cartoon package where he's like wearing a cowboy hat and riding a horse, and he's riding next to Trey Lance's horse, and then Trey Lance's horse falls off a cliff. And interesting. They spent like $50,000 on the stupid cartoon. On the graphics.
Nance has to narrate it. There's Brock Purdy. Look at him ride in there, Tony. He's riding that Jim. He's riding the horse.
And then someone at the end, they have the graphic is buried in a Vegas desert by Tommy DeVito's agent. I don't know.
All right, before we do Gary Russell, here's my favorite same game parlay.
Go ahead.
Right now, it is over 13-1 odds. Kansas City to win first half game.
Mm-hmm.
Mahomes under 262.5. We discussed Noah Gray over 1.5 receptions, and Pacheco, not Pacheco,
right?
Pacheco, 70 plus yards rushing, and that is 13 plus 13, 16 on.
Is it that high?
Yeah,
I didn't hear anything I didn't like. Oh man,
yeah. So I'll do that again. KC to win first half game. Mahomes under 262.5. Noah Gray, 2 catches. Pacheco, 70 plus rushing yards.
All right. I don't have one. That sounds good because
you have the Gary Russell, which is way more important.
I have to pick it up. Yes.
Backstory. It's Super Bowl, Steelers, whatever. Steelers and Cardinals. Great Super Bowl. Really enjoyable.
Yeah.
And you did a prop. We had the podcast at that point, and you did a prop. And it was Gary Russell. What was it? For 3 yards, 4 yards?
No, to not score a touchdown.
Score a touchdown. That's what it was.
So this is their backup running back, right? It was
right.
Fast Willie Parker was their starter, right?
Yeah.
I think that year. Yeah. So minus 150. to not score a touchdown, the backup. And this is, I think, the first year I picked an obscure player to not do something. Minus 150. Not only did he score the first touchdown, he had 2 carries inside the 3-yard line in that first drive, or the first drive that they scored.
It was like they listened to the pod and they just wanted to mess with you.
And then then someone wrote in and said that months later that they were laughing when Gary Russell scored, and across the room, this guy heard a woman laugh, and they got together. They had never met each other, and they discussed it. And they're like, "Oh, do you listen to the Guess the Lines pod?" Like, yeah. Those two ended up getting married based on the Gary Russell prop bet. And
Amazing.
we've never heard if they've. I think the woman is now dating. I don't know. I don't know who she's with. Kanye. Is that who she's with? I'll have to look that up. Someone let us know. But anyway, every year I try to pick an obscure name and top the Gary Russell moment.
So I was as you were talking there at the end, I was looking up Gary Russell to see what happened to him. And there's apparently a boxer named Gary Russell.
I know. I got in that rabbit hole too.
Of featherweight who held the title for like 7 years. I don't watch the featherweights. So yeah, we probably should have put some Gary Russell's bet. All right, here we go. It's time.
You ready?
SB 58, the Gary Russell prop. Here we go.
Okay. I really thought about this because I think last year and maybe even 2 of the last 3 years, the name has been so obscure, they haven't even made the roster. Like they were inactive by Sunday, and that sucked. And then everyone got mad at me and whatever. But this guy's making the roster. He's playing. He's actually a name that's less obscure than those that I've gone with, right? I went with, who's your tight end? The Patriots. He's like from Samoa, I think. I went with that, right? I went through a bunch of them. I really try to go obscure. Not this year. Richie James returns a punt or a kick for a touchdown. 30-1 odds. Kansas City Chiefs. 2018, he had a kick return for a touchdown as a member of the 49ers. So we'll hear all about that. I just see it. Second quarter, Simmons following a Jake Moody field goal that grazes the crossbar and goes in, much like you described. San Francisco feeling good about themselves. Richie James, former Mid-Tennessee State Blue Raider, takes a kickoff 92 yards to pay dirt. And that dirt is going to pay well. 30-1, buddy. Let's do this, Gary Russell.
So is it Richie James? It has to be a special teams TD.
That's right. Punt or kick return.
I got to say, I bet on what your Gary Russell pick was going to be, and I lost.
You did? What'd you like? What'd you have?
I thought it was going to be Blake Bell, the third string KC tight end. He fit your profile.
Yeah. I like that. I've been screwed with the tight ends, though. The third string tight ends usually get cut before game time. But yeah. Richie James, he's doing it.
Richie James. I like it. So you researched all his returns in the special teams over the years?
He's come close. Yeah, he's done it. And I just think it's going to be like a weird punting kickoff situation, Moody, whatever. 30-1 is a good number. God bless you, Richie James.
Where does this line end? Where are we at on a week from now?
I think 2. I don't know why. I think sharp money will come in on 2. I mean, they are giving it to us with the teaser, aren't they? Like we're going to get 8.5 at this point, and I think
it goes to 1.5.
1.5. Yeah. So your big bet is going to be Kelce and the over on a teaser.
No, my big bet's going to probably be Kelce and the under.
Really?
Because the under goes all the way up to 53.5. And if the working theory is that the Chiefs are either going to win or hang around, it'll be a slow paced game. And 53.5 is a lot, man.
27-24 is a lot of scoring for these teams that take forever to get down.
54 is like 30-24 or, 30-27. Somebody's getting to 30 at 54.
Yeah.
So like 28-27 beats it. But it would basically have to be 30.